continuing with the laws of Hanukkah, we're in the middle of Tav Reish Ayin Daled, Seif Aleph, and we're going to start in the Mishnah Berurah Daled. So last time, actually the Mishnah Berurah Hey, we discussed there are many opinions, 3 opinions we had, whether can you light from one Hanukkah candle to another Hanukkah candle. Let's take our example in the same menorah. You lit day number 2. Can you take the candle from day number 2 and light day number 3? So the first opinion was that you could do it from directly. If you take the candle directly day number 3 and put it on day number 2 candle, that's good. But you can't do it with an intermediary candle. That was one opinion. The other opinion was that you could do it with an intermediary candle. And then the Ramah wrote at the end that you really shouldn't do any of this at all. You really shouldn't do it at all, as long as you're still fulfilling the mitzvah of Hanukkah, and it's still in the time of Hanukkah lights. Now, the Mishnah Berurah is going to explain the Ramah. Beneras Hanukkah, V'davka beneras Hanukkah umitam shemivar lekameh. Aval beneras acherim shel mitzvah kegon shel Shabbos v'shel Beis HaKnesses ukadom madlikim ner l'ner. He says the issue only is with Hanukkah lights, but with other mitzvah lights, such as the candles of the Beis HaKnesses, of the shul, or candles of Shabbos, that's okay. V'chein hiskim b'sefer chamin Moshe, v'chein hu amadav is what people do. V'chein kasu b'chai adam, v'chein mashmal el b'simin kuf ayin daled. T'davka ner shel hedyot ein madlikim ner shel Beis HaKnesses avol ner mi ner shari. That it says that you can't take lights from the lights of the shul and light your personal candle, but you could do from ner Shabbos to ner Shabbos. V'lo higia har masham klum lahachmer mashma depshita leid bezel less lan kan minug lahachmer v'ayim prima gadam da'ay de ner shel chol ein kedai afilu b'shar ner shel mitzvah. So he comes out that he's pointing out here that the Ramah is only stringent when it comes to Hanukkah lights, but he's not stringent when it comes to Shabbos lights or lights of the Beis HaKnesses. And again, by lights I mean candles, because back in the day they had candles. And the Pri Megadim says, even though he's lenient by these other mitzvah candles, like Shabbos lights, you still shouldn't do it with an intermediary candle. You have to do it directly. The Iker mitzvah. So Hainu de Medina halo sagi b'ner echad l'chol b'nei habayis heichi desmuchen kulan al shulchan echad. Ulufizeh heichi deshnei balabatim darin b'bayis echad the Medina tzarich hadlaka ner Chanukah l'chol echad madlikan zemizeh ayman shekasavnu le'el. He says that the reason that you can't light from one light to another light is because, really, technically, according to the letter of the law, like we mentioned last time, you fulfill the mitzvah with one candle. Fill a mitzvah with one candle. The subsequent candles, or sometimes even the subsequent menorahs that other people use, they are only for like a hiddur mitzvah, a beautification of the mitzvah. So if you shouldn't take a light from the main mitzvah and put it to a lower level mitzvah. That's not something that should be done. Okay. He says where 2 people own the house, 2 balabatim live in the house, then since each of the candles that they light are the main mitzvah, then you could light from one candle to another. If the He says, if the light goes out, if one of your, let's say, number 3 goes out, so you shouldn't take from number 2 to light number 3. Because of Rashal Beis HaKnesses, Ein Chiluk Ben Hashamer Shashar Ner Shekol Ner Shebesochan Kurin Ner Mitzvah. The Marshal says that all of the lights in the synagogue, all of those have the same status of mitzvah status, including the shamish. The shamish, he's pointing out, when you light the menorah in your house, is a lower status than the rest of the lights. The rest of the lights. But in the synagogue, he's saying they're all the same. He's saying what people do, I guess people back in the day, they would take fire from the shamish of the shul and light it in their house, because you're allowed, there's absolutely no problem of taking fire from the shamish, from the helper candle. But the Marshal says that the shamish in the shul, that has a holier status, so that you're not allowed to take the fire from there. And he says the only time you could do it is if it's Saturday night and you needed the light to get home safely. But besides that, you shouldn't be taking any of the lights from the menorah in the shul. This is what we're talking about before. After the main mitzvah is that the Hanukkah lights be lit for a half hour after the stars come out. After that time, you're technically not fulfilling the mitzvah anymore. So there are many opinions that say you could benefit from the light. But the Mishnah Berurah says here that there are many poskim that hold that even if they're still lit, even if it's after that half hour, that you should not light from them. When we call makam near the ein lahakam b'zeh rak le'inyan lahadling ne'er shel chol. Avol ner shel mitzvah the medina mutter afilu b'toch hashir al kol panim ein lonu lahachmir achar she'avar hashir. So he says the Mishnah Berurah comes out like this. This is what you should do. Really, we're stringent to not get any benefit from the lights even after a half hour that they're lit. But he says here, since you're lighting from one Hanukkah candle to another, and there's many opinions that permit that you could do directly. You could take candle 3 and light from candle 2, but you can't use an intermediary candle because, again, that was a debate between the first and second opinions of the Shulchan Aruch. Okay, that's Sif Aleph. Let's go on to Sif Beis. Yesh Misha Aimer, there are those that say, Shener Shal Beis HaKnesses V'Shal Shabbos V'Shal Chanukah Kulam Shal Mitzvahem U'Motul Lahadik Zem Zeh. Some say that the lights in the shul and of Shabbos and of Chanukah they're for a mitzvah, and you could light from each other. V'hu Adin Ner Shal Talmud Torah, the light. So too is the light for Torah scholars using to study Torah, or Ner L'chola, or a light for a sick person, Hatzarach Ner, U'Be'inyan Ner Shal Beis HaKnesses Ayin La'el Sim Kufnan Dal. And if you want to know the halachas about the lights of the shul, look earlier. It says in the Mishnah Berurah, Mutter Lahadik Mizeh Lezeh Ayin Be'er Agrash Yikasav L'Dei Rishayna La'el B'Sim Tafresh Ayin Gimel Sif Aleph. The Afilu Tashmish Kedusha also Lishtamish L'Ner Chanukah V'Kasav Atam She'enu Daima Lahav D'Kaim Elan D'Mad Malikin D'Mener The Azim Kulu Neres Chada Mitzvahi Mashen Kin Lilmod Hu Mitzvah Acheres Is Muval Zu Azu Gam Ben Yanenu Aser. So he cites here the Vilna Gaon that says you cannot light from a Ner Chanukah to the lights of other mitzvah, because we had an opinion earlier in the last siman that says you can't even use Chanukah lights for a mitzvah purpose. Meaning you can't take a sefer and go learn next to your Chanukah lights. So the Vilna Gaon says according to that, you should not take lights from the Chanukah menorah to light other candles. He says the opinion that's being lenient here, that's just to go from candle number 2 to candle number 3 in the Chanukah menorah, from candle to candle, but to do a totally separate mitzvah, according to what we wrote earlier, that would be a problem. So again, to summarize, we had a lot of halachos here, but to summarize, I don't think this comes up so much. Really, do not get any, just to be safe, if you want to be safe, do not get any benefit from the Hanukkah lights. If a light goes out or anything, do not light from one of the 8 candles to another. The only candle you should be lighting from is the shamish to the other candles. But just to be safe, even though the Mishnah Berurah said does say in certain cases after a half hour you could do it, best is there's really no reason that anyone needs to be doing this, and the best is just to not use the Hanukkah lights for anything except to look at, to fulfill the mitzvah of Persumei Nisa. God willing, next time we will start with Siman Taf Reish Ayin Hey.